The Tribune says she'd shake up the comfy, entrenched politicians in Washington.
And she really represented something nothing short of amazing. Here was an Iraqi war vet, a woman, helicopter pilot, who had sustained some of the most serious injuries and somehow managed to survive. And she wanted to continue to serve her country in Congress.
I wanted people to be able to have a good discussion of what it means to truly support veterans.
We were disappointed election night. Tammy narrowly lost in a very difficult congressional district. And I didn't know what would be next for her. There were a number of offers and a number of possibilities. But she had a chance to do what I knew was in her heart, and that was to continue to serve the veterans of her state of Illinois. The governor, Rod Blagojevich, appointed her as director of the Department of Veterans Affairs for our state, and she has just been tireless.
Director Duckworth has succeeded against mountainous odds. She is a very passionate leader, particularly when it comes to working for veterans. As the director of the Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs, she sets the standards that all of us are eager to follow. It's inspiring to be around her every day, knowing what she must have to do just to get into the office every day. She has the warrior spirit. She has the soldier mentality that the mission always comes first. She never accepts defeat. She never backs down.
I am learning to fly again. I'm not very good at it because I'm flying small fixed-wing aircraft and I'm used to big military helicopters. But I am taking flying lessons and hopefully I'll be able to get my private pilot's license and then try to get back into a helicopter again.
Her personal story is one that immediately gives her a credibility, a high level of credibility with every veteran that she talks to. She makes things happen, whether it's running a staff meeting or dealing with different other agencies or different other politicians to get things for veterans. And when she's on fire like that, it's contagious. Everybody around her wants to be part of that team to make that thing happen.
Well, there are a few things that happen with this war that's different in that we have such great protective gear that people like me in Vietnam would have died.
In Washington, where she's testified, and even in the state capitol, you understand that she really can put herself in a position of many of these disabled veterans. And she understands that it really is a commitment we've made as a nation to these veterans in terms of education and training, giving them a chance to start their lives again with the very best medical care, sticking with them.
What has happened is that the programs that I've participated in Illinois have sort of spread to other states. Whether I like it or not, I've sort of become one of the faces that represent Iraq and Afghanistan veterans, and I try to take that responsibility very seriously.
Tammy Duckworth, she's a veteran's veteran.
The DAV here in Illinois especially is very supportive and very active of veterans groups. They've sort of been the organization that I can really sort of turn to and rely on when I need help doing what I do. I was just at the winter sports clinic for the first time this past year where the DAV strapped me to a ski and pushed me down a mountain. And off I went.
We thought Tammy Duckworth would be an outstanding disabled veteran of the year. For a person to make it through that, come back and go through the hospital situation and the rehab and everything, and then wind up here as the director of the Department of Illinois, I think that's super.
This was made for me by my prosthetist. He did it on his own and surprised me with it, because what I had always done was I always put U.S. Army and the American flag stickers on my legs before. This is a fiber, a carbon fiber. We call it a socket. It's basically the sleeve that my human leg goes into, and this can have anything laminated on it you want. I think about Iraq probably every day. Part of it is because of my job. I'm not going to let some insurgent who got lucky with an RPG decide how I live my life.
I think Tammy is an inspiration to other vets to see what she's went through, and they can move on hopefully in the same direction.
She has so many great talents and qualities. I'm afraid that many people who would have faced her kind of injury might not have been able to make a life afterwards, but she's made a great life, and there's a great life ahead of her.
How do I feel about being named the Outstanding Disabled Veteran of the Year? Well, my first reaction is I'm sure there are far more outstanding disabled veterans out there. I'm deeply honored. I feel sort of new to this, and I know that there are many disabled vets out there who have been slogging in the trenches and working very hard and are sort of the unsung heroes. And I kind of feel like because the spotlight is on me and you see me on TV a lot, sometimes I get attention and awards like this that other people probably deserve more. But I'm deeply honored, and if I can represent my buddies in a way that doesn't embarrass them, then I'm happy to do it.
Tammy Duckworth is truly a distinguished public servant and the ideal example of what a disabled veteran can accomplish, inspiring others. Ladies and gentlemen, the DAV 2008 Outstanding Disabled Veteran of the Year, Tammy Duckworth.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Commander Reynolds. I am truly honored and humbled to accept this award. And at the same time, I realize that this award isn't just for me. I stand before you today because I was part of a crew that worked together to survive when our aircraft was shot down. I stand before you today because my crew and my hero, Chief Warrant Officer Dan Milberg, carried me out of that aircraft and delivered me to the incredible medical care that I received throughout my recovery from both the DoD and the VA. This award is also for many of the men and women who are returning from war, severely injured and living beyond expectations with disabilities today. There have been and currently are amazing examples of courage among disabled veterans. I remember when I first woke up at Walter Reed, it was Tom Porter, a Korean War veteran, a double amputee, who stood over my bed and told me about the 50 years that he'd lived after losing his legs. He introduced me to the milkshake man, Jim Meyer, another double amputee, this time from Vietnam. Jim also walks the halls of Walter Reed, handing out milkshakes because he knows that when you can't get an American GI to eat anything else, you can always get calories into him with a milkshake. You know, when I first woke up at Walter Reed, I was in so much pain that I didn't have the energy to whisper to my mom to stop stroking my skin because even that gentle touch hurt so much. I wasn't sure if I could live through the day, but I thought that I might be able to survive a minute. On the wall opposite my bed was one of those clocks, and it just had the second hand that kept ticking away. So I started counting down the minutes, 1 second at a time, and I would just lay there and say to myself, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, until I got to 60, and then I knew I'd survive that minute, and then I would start over again, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000. And it was Sergeant First Class Juanita Wilson, an Iraq amputee, and still serving on active duty with the military today, who stood next to my bed holding silent vigil. She took off her artificial arm to show me that she had been where I was, that she had quite literally felt my pain and said, I know you're hurting. I know it will stop. It stopped for me. And let me stand here for you. And so she stood next to my bed for the next 5 days and counted with me, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000. I hung to that presence.